And joining me is on set here is Pete Hegseth, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, and Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran, of course, and author of the new book, Battle for the American Mind, very important story about our American school system, and Jason Rantz, KTTH Seattle radio talk show host. Gentlemen, welcome. Obviously, we were watching the end of all of that together here. But one of the things that I'm very cognizant of is what's going on in the right-hand corner of everybody's screen. And we have fully covered these hearings this afternoon, but the market is down about 821 points. So when we look at what voters are interested in, it's what's happening in their everyday lives at this point in 2022. And we see tremendous inflation, a lot of downward pressure on everybody's 401k. I don't think the market is just for rich people. People are invested all across this country in mutual funds and saving for college and all of that. At the same time, they're also very concerned about what's going on in this country with crime. And gentlemen, we see that inflation is a big concern. Crime is a big concern. And I want to zero in on the lives of two individuals to make this point about crime. Let's look at these two police officers who were just killed in California. This is Corporal Michael Paredes, a 22-year veteran, and Officer Joseph Santana, who had just recently joined the force. They leave behind their wives and 5 children between them, these two men. And the reason that they're dead today is because this man, Justin William Flores, was out on the street, and many believe that that was thanks to the district attorney there, Mr. Gascon. This guy has a rap sheet. It is quite long. We'll show you on this full screen here some of the assault, battery, car theft, drug possession, weapons possession, illegal weapons possession, all of that. So these families are now without their fathers thanks to this man. So, Pete, let me start with you. You know, when you look at what is on the minds of Americans right now, and you think about these two families, and you think about the rampant crime that we're seeing in so many places, what goes through your mind today?
The word that came to my mind was the word that Jimmy Carter used in the 70s, that word of malaise. Whether it's a border that's wide open with sheer criminality, whether it's the crime in this story that you're talking about here, whether it's that stock market that doesn't impact individual people or their gas tank or their grocery cart. And in this particular case, these two officers right here, there was a 3-strike law where this killer should have been in jail instead of on the streets. And what George Gascon and other liberal DAs have done is they've just decided to fail to prosecute. They are not actually executing as prosecutors. They're effectively public defenders. On looking at criminals and saying, how can I help let you loose more quickly, which leaves the families and these officers in an impossible situation where officers don't want to be proactive, and they're in more danger every time they go out, and there's no recourse for justice for the innocent law-abiding taxpayers in those particular communities.
You know, Jason, I was thinking about this when I was working on this story earlier today, and I thought, you know, the tragic killing of George Floyd, when you fast forward through all the impacts of that, left so many people unsafe. And that's a real tragedy. His killing was a tragedy. The loss of these two police officers is a tragedy, and it's all linked to what Pete's saying in terms of the holdback on the part of some police officers because they are afraid to go in and get involved in many cases, and these prosecutors who aren't willing to keep people off the streets.
Yeah, and oftentimes it's the exact communities that they said on the left they wanted to protect from police violence. They're the ones who are being victimized and re-victimized. Communities of color are hit the hardest when you go after cops, when you defund police departments, when you decide we're not going to enforce the law. And on top of that, of course, now we have 2 officers who are no longer with us.